Hi, welcome to the series I'm doing on random things I've done over the years to try to get off of disability. 4 years ago, I try not to keep track of this too accurately, my brother died. And my brother was always the most creative person in the family, really. He was an artist, he was a musician, he had that type of mind. And while I've always been creative, I've never exactly been what you call talented. But there's a sense that when a loved one dies, when it's your brother, I guess, you feel you kind of have to pick up the slack somewhere. The universe is missing something, and someone needs to replace it. So the night he died, it was about 2:30 in the morning when I got home, and the first thing I did was get out some watercolor paints that my wife had, and I just sat down and started painting. I didn't have any aim at first other than I just felt like painting. But I got done with that painting. I still think it's one of my better works. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking to myself that this might actually be something I could do. People do sell art, people make money off of it. And it's not like a 9 to 5 where I have to be at this place doing this specific thing at this specific time, and if I don't, I'm fired and thus fucked. So why not give it a try, right? I bought a few canvases, bought a few brushes, and got to work teaching myself how to paint. YouTube videos came in very handy. After probably about 2 months, give or take, I had a decent body of work already. Most of it sucked, but I still had it. So it's at this point I decide, well, it's probably time to start trying to sell this shit. So I get to contacting all the local galleries that I possibly can in my area, because I have no clue what the hell I'm doing. I'm looking at YouTube videos trying to detail what you're supposed to do, but it's a lot different when you have no direction. It's not like I went to art school or anything. I was generally well received by gallery owners, not one of them ever told me no. The very first one I contacted says, "Let's see your work, bring it in." So I go do that the following day, and next thing I know is I have an art show scheduled. No, it's a joint show, mind you. It's taking place in the town over from mine. And it was an experience in and of itself. I didn't sell anything, but no one did, so I didn't really feel bad about it. Guy who I was pairing up with, the owner of this gallery, was an exceptionally talented artist himself. But that experience is over, and I get myself a nice little spot in his gallery, where my work remained for about the next 3 years. Now during this time, I'm trying to get my ducks in a row to make a successful business out of this. I started a blog for my art, which still actually exists despite the fact that I haven't really done anything with it in the last year and a half or so. I have an Etsy shop, which has long since moved on to other things. The one universal truth I can seem to find is that paintings don't generally sell well online. I mean, you've got the exception of a few, but it's not really enough to make a career out of. Maybe I'm not marketing properly. Maybe I just suck that much. I don't know. In very short order, though, I got myself an actual gallery show at another place. It's my very first show. It's all about me. And the woman who ran this gallery, she managed to get my name front page in a local newspaper. So I'm pretty happy about that. I'm still happy about that. I actually just got the Facebook notification today. That was 3 years ago. Yesterday, actually. I mean, it might be a local paper that no one reads, but I'm still front page for something other than getting arrested all the same. That art show goes down, and it was awkward on my part because I am disabled, because I have mental disabilities in that I have PTSD, I have depression issues, I have anxiety issues. I'm not the most social person. I can't really fake it anymore either. Back in the day, I was a lot better at that, maybe because I had more practice, I don't know. But social interaction has always been awkward for me in person, and this was probably about the last situation I ever should have been in. I muddled through though, didn't sell anything. That's an important thing to note, that I've been with this gallery off and on for several years, pretty much my entire art career. I never sold a single thing through them. But this video is entitled "Why I'm No Longer an Artist." And I feel like that gallery is where this story starts. You have the fact that I'm not selling anything, which is kind of a big deal because that's why I'm doing this in the first place. I want to be making sales. I want to get off of disability. American culture is one where most people will make you feel like absolute garbage because you're
living off the system.
We have a culture now which is frankly terrible to disabled people. And there's a lot of modifiers that people try to place on this, a lot of stipulations where they try to make you believe that if you were disabled for the right reasons, then your treatment would somehow be different. It never is. I have PTSD. You don't know whether I got PTSD from a domestic violence situation or serving overseas. You don't know because you don't bother to ask. No one ever does. So no one who's on disability wants to be on disability because They don't pay enough. You get treated like absolute garbage. And you don't feel rewarded. You don't feel like you're contributing anything. You don't feel like you're doing anything. Everyone wants to feel like they have value to their life, like they're actually accomplishing things. This narrative that
If you just give people handouts, they're not going to want to work.
it's bullshit. It is complete, utter bullshit. No one wants to feel like they're just a drain. So not selling anything is a big point of contention. There is something that I have picked up on while I've been in various artist communities, is that it's not really the art that sells. It's your personality. More to the point, it's your persona that sells. People don't buy $300 original pieces because they like the art. They buy them because they like the artist. Because the artist is someone noteworthy or someone exceptional. I found that inside the artist community, inside the artist world, mental illness is more or less treated as a commodity. It's treated as something that makes you who you are, that you're not mentally ill, you're just eccentric. It's marketing, it's something that you're supposed to be selling. And I find that a lot of people tend to package just shit behavior as mental illness, and no. As someone who actually does deal with mental health issues, I find that profoundly offensive. I've managed to go better part of 2 decades with mental illness without ever having devolved into a complete shit person. And it almost seemed like there's this demand for me to be a shit person and blame my mental illness for it, which I find to be extremely regressive and reductive. But there are plenty of people who do it. There are plenty of artists out there where their mental illness is used almost as a prop or a tool. Which, to a degree, if you can market your mental illness, if you can make money off of it, more power to you. I don't really shame people no matter what job they do, because we're all just trying to get by. And for people with mental illness, for people with any kind of disability, that's more of a challenge than it is for most. But it's still pretty shitty when that does seem to be the case. Because it's not the mentally ill who make these stipulations that you have to be this way. It's healthy people who make these stipulations. That ultimately, that's what they want. They want this thing that makes you interesting to them, and we're all just playing our part. Now, over time, I am starting to make private sales, and I'm involved with multiple local charities, most of which are cat-related. There is one show in particular, though, that takes place down in a gallery in Louisville, Kentucky, which is still local to me. It's maybe 15 minutes away. And I managed to hammer out the details of getting myself into the show. While I'm down there talking to the owner, she decides she wants me to have an actual personal show down there in a few months. So I go through the entire process of getting myself into the charity show. And just one random evening, I get an email from the owner of this place saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I steered you wrong. We're only allowing cat-themed art in the show." Okay, no big deal. And I replied exactly with that, no big deal. But she writes me back a few days later and tells me, well, we're actually really shy of how many pieces we'd like, so just bring whatever you've got that you wouldn't mind selling off, and if we have the space, we'll put them up. Cool. I mean, I'm down for that. Any chance to get my work seen, I'm not going to say no, especially when it's for a good cause. So the show goes down, and I go pick up my art a few weeks later. Half of it's damaged. I'm rather pissed off about this, because I've A, never experienced this before, and B, you're a gallery who takes a commission. You should know how to treat paintings. I call them out on it too. Why is there a giant scratch through my painting? Why is there a giant indent on this painting? I know exactly why. I don't really care why, honestly. Most of these paintings were just extras I had laying around. I didn't really care that much about them in the first place, but I have a show with you people that is going to be featuring thousands of dollars worth of my work. And what assurances can you give me that you will treat those with more care than you treated these? And the gallery owner responds by canceling my show. This person, this business owner whose entire life is about selling art, got so offended that I called her out on damaging my art that she straight up canceled my show. At first she tried offering some bullshit excuse of, well, we're going to have work being done to the place around that time, and I'd hate for any of your work to get damaged. Really? That's what you've come up with. So I made a Facebook post about it, and I called them out rather publicly. I still didn't offer up any names. The gallery owner actually saw this post and decided to make a bigger issue out of it. I thought it was very telling in the first place. I didn't offer up any names. I didn't name drop you in the slightest. Guilty conscience, maybe. I don't know. But she decides she wants to escalate the situation. She writes me and starts spewing out all kinds of garbage. Everything ranging from, it's my fault that my paintings were damaged because I didn't pick them up in a timely fashion, which I was there literally the day she told me to be there. That it shouldn't matter if my artwork is damaged because I should have it all insured anyway. Like, the money I could get in compensation would actually be a replacement for the actual creativity lost. And then the most interesting accusation was that I bullied my way into the art show. I'm sitting here reading the transcript from the conversation I had with her, and at no point did I ever try to inject myself into anything. She made the offer, I took her up on it. And what I thought was just a very simple conversation, it was a very casual thing. And the funny thing about it is, if you read the reviews on this place, because they're not just an art gallery, there's another business they do. If you read the reviews, you see a whole lot of people that have issues with this place, and every single time, the owners respond to them being very, very combative, which I've never thought was a good look for a business. You know, if some Yelp reviewer writes, I was not happy with the sushi at this restaurant, you don't want to read the restaurant owner and be like, you just don't have a good taste for sushi, fuck you. But I call her out on her bullshit. I'm like, I have the transcripts from the conversation right here. Why are you lying to me? You're going through all this effort just because you don't want to take any kind of accountability for the fact that you damaged my paintings. And I'm not asking for any kind of compensation here. I'm just asking for assurances that you will do a better job with my more valuable paintings. I don't feel that's unreasonable in the slightest. I don't want to hear, well, you should definitely have insurance on them. I want to hear that you're going to treat them the same way I would treat them. I realize that accidents happen, and yes, you should probably have insurance, but there's a difference between an accident and people just being careless with other people's stuff. So at this point in time, I have experience with 3 different galleries in this general vicinity, and really only one of them has been a positive experience for me. And the one that I actually have had a legit personal showing at, I'm not overly thrilled with them either. Because my work has been hanging up in this place for roughly a year at this point, and not only have I not made any sales, but you're not really advertising it either. There was the initial flurry of social media posts back when the art show was going on, but ever since then, crickets. And you're asking for a 40% commission. What am I giving you a commission for? I can have artwork hanging on my own walls, and I guarantee they'll get more exposure online than the people who come into your store. But the biggest issue I have is with the general treatment, the general attitude that these people have of the 3 gallery owners that I worked with. 2 out of those 3 perpetually acted like they were doing me a favor. When the reality of the matter is, when it comes to an artist-gallery relationship, it's a symbiosis. You know, this is how synergy works. You need me, I need you. Don't get it twisted at the same time, this is your life right here, this is your business. You need me more than I need you, because I can do art shows and sell these things. That is one thing I know I can do. I can do art shows and sell these things. I don't have to pay anyone a commission just to display my artwork. If you want that 40%, I would suggest doing something to justify it, and frankly, they just never did. And then finally, you come to the revelation that people don't really want to pay original art prices for things. People don't appreciate how much time and effort and honestly how much money goes into making an original painting in the first place. Right here is a painting that cost me $100 to make. I was originally asking $250 for it because it not only took me $100 to make, but it also took me multiple hours of work. Are you expecting me to work at minimum wage? How much do you think this painting should cost? How much of a profit do you think I should get off it, and how much are you personally willing to pay? And we're not in a particularly affluent area, so you can't blame people for not wanting to drop $250 on a painting when they don't have $250 to spend on something like that. So it's just all around a bad situation. You're not reaching the people you need to reach. Even the people who could afford it don't want to. This very painting, I got an offer from a friend a few days ago that she's doing an art show that I usually do, but I'm not doing this year because COVID. But she offered to put this painting up in her booth and try to sell it for about $150. So I'm gonna make $50 off a painting that cost $100 to produce and took me, I'd say, probably about 2 days to actually do. This was an experimental piece. There is nothing else like it in the world. And $50 is what I'm gonna make off of it. No, I'd honestly, I'd rather just donate it. I have to say that while $50 is a lot of money to someone who's as broke as I am, it's still just the principle of the matter. It's not worth it to me. But these are the reasons why I'm no longer an artist. I retired probably about 6 months to a year ago and have not regretted it. I do still have an Etsy shop, but it's mainly what you'd call crafts, not art. And it's mainly a seasonal concept. I've since moved on to other things that will hopefully be more rewarding. So thanks for watching, and hopefully you'll tune in next time.